There is a strategic retail market capture going on behind the scenes, and it is so subtle you'd hardly notice. For decades, the big five traditional banks in Nigeria were untouchable. They owned the branches, they owned the ATMs, they controlled the flow of money, but they underestimated one thing: the Nigeria's informal economy. And while they were busy building glass skyscrapers, a silent revolution was happening on the streets. That silent revolution is called Moniepoint. Moniepoint is a Nigerian fintech unicorn that has evolved from a back-end technology provider into Africa's most dominant merchant-focused banking platform. What makes this story very interesting is that Moniepoint didn't begin as a flashy fintech app. Founded in 2015 by Tosin Enyolorunda and Felix Iki, it started as Team Apt, a quiet infrastructure company building back-end payment systems for banks themselves. In other words, before competing with these same banks, they were helping power these banks. But somewhere around 2019, they noticed something bigger. The real opportunity wasn't inside corporate banking. It was on the everyday Nigerian merchant. Nigeria didn't just seem as the perfect environment for agent banking. In fact, it was actually the perfect market for agent banking. A country with over 200 million people, inconsistent banking access, unreliable digital infrastructure, and millions operating in cash-based informal markets. Moniepoint didn't try to replace this reality by asking Nigerians to behave differently. In fact, they built around how Nigerians already moved money, and not just that, they optimized for it. It is now the operating system for Nigeria's informal and SME economy. In just 2025 alone, Moniepoint didn't just grow, it exploded. Imagine you run a small pharmacy in Aba. Every failed transfer means angry customers. Every delay means lost sales. Traditional banks saw this as small accounts. Moniepoint saw them as infrastructure. They processed 412 trillion naira across over 14 billion transactions. They now power an incredible 80% of all in-person payments in Nigeria. While traditional banks tightened their lending activities, Moniepoint disbursed over 1 trillion in credit to SMEs, helping businesses grow by an average of 36%. They aren't just local heroes. They were named one of Time's 100 most influential companies of 2025. The important question here is, how are they silently taking over? Traditional banks filled the retail space with high failure rates in financial transactions and slow reversals. Moniepoint won by being present. They moved into every local government area in Nigeria. When you walk into a store today, you don't ask for a bank transfer. You look for the blue terminal. Moniepoint's POS terminals have become the backbone of Nigeria's retail economy, moving from simple payment tools to a national infrastructure. As of early 2026, their POS achievements have reached unprecedented levels. They moved aggressively into local governments, open-air markets, kiosks, and underserved areas traditional banks barely touched. And in Africa, distribution is power. Every blue Moniepoint terminal became a strong and functional mini bank branch. In the year 2025, Moniepoint's transaction value reached 412 trillion naira, representing approximately 38.5% of all total market volume recorded by NIBS for the year 2024. This specific comparison is used as a benchmark because the official NIBS consolidated data for the year 2025 is still being audited and has not yet been released. While traditional banks rely heavily on paperwork, collateral, and formal credit history, Moniepoint used behavioral data. They could see daily sales, customer traffic, payment consistency, transaction patterns, and others. Which means a market woman with consistent cash flow suddenly became credit-worthy, even without traditional banking documents. This made it easy for Moniepoint to give loans that traditional banks would never approve. Moniepoint isn't just a bank. They are the partner that keeps the lights on for the supermarket, the pharmacy, and the petrol station, and many others. For decades, banks controlled finance through branches, but Moniepoint understood something deeper. In emerging markets, whoever controls daily transaction controls the economy. And today, Nigeria's retail economy increasingly runs on the blue terminal. This tells us that the retail war isn't happening in boardrooms or in corporate meetings alone. It is being won over the counter, in supermarkets, in roadside kiosks, fuel stations, POS stands, and right now, Moniepoint is winning.